Good morning and welcome to 365 Days of Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 71, and I'm going to begin another story from Tales of the Alhambra. This is the story of the Arabian astrologer. So, once in Granada, before the Alhambra had been built, or the Generalife, there was a king that ruled over that entire territory, and his name was Ibn Habuz. Now, he was an old king, and he was, so to speak, retired, or at least he would like to have been retired. And in his younger days, when he was passionate about ruling a great kingdom, he had vanquished so many rulers that were close to Granada. And in vanquishing them, he had won their, well, at least their devotion to him in a certain way. But he'd conquered those lands. And in his older years, when he wanted nothing but to have a peaceful, quiet life, and as I had said, retire from those warlike ways. It was an interesting thing that many of the sons of the men that he had vanquished now wished to take up arms against him. And so even though he ruled over Granada, that territory, and the mountains and the areas all around it, he was constantly being assailed from who knows where by young men wishing in a way to seek revenge on what he had done to, their families. Well, he had set up throughout his territory towers and watchtowers and various places where if there was an assault upon Granada, by day, these towers, they were supposed to create smoky fires so that that smoke be seen and the message that someone was attacking could be relayed to the city. And at night, fires were to be lit in these towers. And in that way, the fires would be lit and give notice that attackers were on their way. Now, this didn't really work, unfortunately, because there were so many places to come out from the mountains that they would come, they would vanquish little sections of his territory, and they would make off with herds of animals, prisoners, and whatever booty they could collect. And so the king, he wasn't very happy about this, and as much as he tried to keep everything that he ruled over intact, it didn't work very well. Now, some of you who are listening might be up there in the years and know that as you get older, it seems you end up seeking the advice of doctors and physicians more than you did when you were young. Your body starts to do weird things, and so you try to seek help and try to create balance in a physiology that is just steadily ailing and steadily getting older and older. Well, the king was no different. And it just so happened that there was a physician that arrived at his court. Now, this physician was an unusual one, indeed. He had gone from Spain on some conquering adventure in his younger years, and it ended up in Egypt. And once this area had been conquered, he took up residency there and he began to study many of the ancient sciences that were established in that area by the priests and the priestesses. And he studied with them because he found that there was nowhere else where he could gain such incredible and such deep knowledge. Well, the truth is that he had gained knowledge of how to prolong life. And at the time that he ended up in the king's court, he was nearly 2 centuries old. Now, unfortunately, when he had come across this information of how to prolong life, he was already up there in the years. He already had gray hair and wrinkles, and so even though his life was able to be prolonged, it was prolonged from that state that he was in at that point in time. When he arrived at the court, he had a beard that was all the way down to his waist. And though a wrinkled face, he still looked only to be maybe 75 or 80 years old. Now, when he came, he was given all due respect by the king. Well, he was known before he even got there because, people knew of this physician who was also an astrologer and was also kind of a bit of a magician. And so his reputation had preceded him. And when he got to the court, the king was delighted to have him there.